Welcome to the August 3rd meeting of the Glendale Housing Authority. May we have a roll call, please?
Authority members: Raymond.
Here.
Friedman.
Here.
Mincy. Najarian.
Here.
Barazian.
Here.
Weaver.
Here.
Chair Quintero.
Here. May we have your report?
The agenda for the August 3rd, 2010 regular meeting of the Glendale Housing Authority was posted on Thursday, July 29, 2010 on the bulletin board outside City Hall.
Next, please.
Next is approval of minutes.
I'll move the minutes with abstention of Ms. Friedman, Mr. Quintero, and Mincy.
Second.
Okay. The minutes with those deletions and additions stand approved as submitted. Next, please.
Next is oral communications. Discussion is limited to items not part of this agenda. Each speaker is allowed 5 minutes. Members of the Housing Authority may question or respond to the speaker, but there will be no debate or decision, and the matter may be referred to staff through the Executive Director for an investigation and a report.
I have one card, Herbert Milano.
Housing Authority Chair Quintero, members of the Housing Authority and city staff. On numerous occasions for the past several years, I think about 7 years, I've come during the summer to talk a little bit about the issue of having adequate facilities for youth, aquatic facilities. And I drove by the Pacific Edison recently, and to my surprise, there's no groundbreaking yet with regard to the pool. I thought that thing would be done by now. And, you know, when you look at a hot day like today, you figure, where do Glendale children go? If I wanted to ask my tenants, here, where your children can go and have an open-air aquatic facility, you got to go to Pasadena or you got to go to Los Angeles. Or maybe the city of San Fernando. Excellent aquatic facilities for their kids. Absolutely superb. But here it is in Glendale, a much larger city with a lot more resources, and we don't have an aquatic facility for kids yet. And year after year, I'm told that we don't have the money for it. And yet, if I were to just give you a comparison, in 1998, the city of Glendale basically did away with its private paramedic service. We were paying $27,000 semi-monthly, about $600,000 a year. And if I were to look at today's budget for 2011, I looked at a number that I couldn't believe. It's about $13 million. But let's assume that it's $5 million or $4 million. It still is several times much greater than it is if we had a private paramedic. If we were to add all the money that we spent on government-owned paramedic services, we probably spent over $60 million more than we would have had we kept a private paramedic service. And are we 13 times better off? I doubt it. 500 times better off? We don't get any performances. Any performance measures with regard to that, where that extra investment has given us a type of return commensurate with that kind of funding. And so I say, where is the money now that we could have used and found within the general fund to go out there and basically provide the adequate facilities? Well, I took a look at those contribution forms back from 2005 when you were running, Mr. Najarian, and there I said, firefighters for better government. Those kids are not getting a better government. They're being ignored. They have today no aquatic facilities that are municipally owned. So I would like to also add a couple of more things having to do with the Housing Authority, and that is with regard to Section 8. I mentioned in the past that my tenants and other people that I know have mentioned that you, Mr. Najarian, have claimed that it is because of you that the city of Glendale has Section 8 and that the Armenian population owes to you the fact that we maintain a Section 8 program. I would like to hear some clarification coming from you to see if you have basically spoken on television where you receive telephone calls and whether you are making such a claim that it is because of you that we have Section 8. It's my understanding that Section 8 is a program from the federal government, from the Housing and Urban Administration, and for which the Glendale city gets, I forgot the actual number of millions that we get, but it's I think 17 million. And it helps support a significant number of families. It's been around for years, well before you came into office. So I want to know a couple of things. How often do you do this? Have you done that recently? Have you been on television recently talking about Section 8? and to give us your point of view as to how it is that you can make the claim, or people say that you make that particular claim. Thank you very much.
Okay, that closes oral communications. Next, please.
I'm sorry, what was that, Mr. Chair?
I said that closes oral communications.
Yes, it does.
Next.
Next is authority member staff comments.
Are there any authority members, staff comments? Mr. Najarian.
Right. Well, Mr. Milano, I have stated previously that the hearsay upon hearsay upon hearsay translated into one or more other languages on which you rely your statements are false. At no time did I take credit for creation of the Section 8 program. At no time have I said that I take credit for bringing Section 8 vouchers to the city. It has always been my position that I will try to bring more Section 8 vouchers through discussions with our representatives in Washington, our senators, and our congresspeople. But you keep repeating this, again, this unknown and anonymous person, your tenant, that says Najarian said he created Section 8. No, Mr. Milano. I did not create Section 8. I did not bring the Section 8 program to Glendale. That's not to say I'm not interested in it. And certainly when I go out to the community, it is perhaps one of the foremost issues in many of our seniors and our disabled communities' minds when they wish to pick issues to discuss. I don't know how much I can say more clearly. However, if you think you've got someone who claims that that was my statement, or you've got recorded evidence that says that was my statement, please bring it forward. Let's look at it. I think you at least owe this authority and the residents of Glendale the due diligence to go and investigate such claims that you have made repeatedly now and see if in fact they're true or not. If a resident were to come to me and say, well, I heard from another resident that Milano's running a slum in his apartments, well, I wouldn't repeat that. I would send someone from Neighborhood Services out to look at that and see if that was true or not. So I don't know what else to say to you, Mr. Milano. You seem to have an ulterior motive, a greater agenda which surpasses your supposed desire for the public good. You're out on a malicious attack on at least one council member. You do it one at a time. Before it used to be Mr. Weaver and maybe Mr. Quintero, Mr. Draymond. You haven't gotten to Ms. Friedman yet, but I'm sure that'll be just a matter of time. But I think for the good of the city, won't you please stop? We've had enough. If you've got an issue about a subject that's germane to this authority's jurisdiction or the council's authority, please bring it on. But your continual personal attacks in the print, in the electronic media, when you come before us, it's getting kind of old, Mr. Milano, unless that seems to be your main enjoyment in life. It's getting kind of old up here, and I think to many of the people of the city of Glendale also. Thank you, Mr. Quintero.
Any other comments? Okay, let me say I've been on Armenian language television so many times, I have no idea how many times I've gone on the air in different channels, and the conversation, whenever there's phones available for the public, the conversation often turns to Section 8, so it wouldn't be unusual to be asked questions about it, et cetera, et cetera. So I'm sure it's a topic that Mr. Najarian has dealt with numerous times, and so has everyone else that's an elected official. All right, staff comments are over, and authority comments are over. Next, please.
Is there a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
Second?
We are adjourned.
Welcome to the August 3rd, 2010 meeting of the Glendale Redevelopment Agency. Can we have a roll call, please?
Agency members, one moment.